resources. The phase two project, they have a project, and this is considered to be the concluding sort of ceremony. Or I'll not say ceremony, but this is a workshop for that particular project which was carried out in India. So I wish that we will have a fruitful discussion and also inputs for further research. And I look forward to uh, getting very good input and strengthen our co-processing in India, get higher TSR and also good quality of RDA and many other things which are related to this. And more importantly, the influence on the track makers. Because you know that there is a tremendous impact the track makers when we take waste for a for different causes, right? Our rack makers are not very much trained, so they should be trained. And there are some cities where there is a process where we are formalizing our waste speakers.
We are very pleased to be here, and I welcome all of you, also from the Norwegian consulate here in Mumbai. I don't remember your name, so sorry for that. And the rest of you, we will have a kind of wrap-up meeting where we are giving you a kind of summary what we have been doing since 2011, long time, due to various reasons, of course. But now we are moving towards the end. So if you can also give presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I will give a brief summary of what we have been doing and what we have achieved during these years. It has been a two-phase project started in 2011, and the first phase was entirely with CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, Delhi. The thermal substitution rate in the industry at that time was around 0.5.
Is from a big dump site, which is less than 10 miles from India's parliament in Delhi. We need to fix this. We have also seen plastic all the way up in Himalayas. Yes, tourism is great, but plastic is not. So these are some statistics. OAI and the scheme has been working with CCP, that is great, but I think we still need to fix our statistics as well. There are a lot of question marks on what the reality is. And the numbers which we see 5% generation or 5% increase waste generation with a 6-7% increase in GDP is inconsistent with global evidence. It has to be 1.5 to 2x, more likely. So what we will continue to see is, these mountains. There are 2,000 plus dump sites in India. And the good news, however, is that, in the last few years, we have taken a lot of effort to fix our policy, regulatory, frameworks, and here is the list of some of them. We have also had a big initiative called Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which is a program, national program, to drive change both from a investment perspective, but also from a mindset perspective. So I think these are very, very positive initiatives which we have seen. Our frameworks also, recognize explicitly as well as implicitly the mantra of, recycling, reducing. So 3R is fully ingrained, and we have also seen, policymakers increasingly realizing and talking about polluter fees. So there are, positive indications. About 5 years ago, I worked as a part of the committee to Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. We came up with this report, which had certain recommendations on how to enhance use of refuse-derived fuel. And some parts of it are already, we are seeing implementation of that. You said TSR has gone up, so we have seen Ministry of Housing and Affairs focused on that, and all these efforts collectively, are contributing. Nevertheless, this issue of a business model, how do you do it in a sustainable way, remains in many circumstances unsolved. So what we did, under collaboration with Sintef, with support from the Royal Norwegian Embassy, is to investigate this question in detail last year. And we looked at, essentially two technological options, which was cement kiln, where co-processing can be done, but also waste to energy, because in many circumstances, waste to energy may also be required or maybe be preferred. Our starting point for this analysis was to recognize that, that waste management on a scientific basis does require an investment or incurring a financial cost. Often that is ignored. And unless we recognize that, that someone has to pay for it, we will not fix this problem. So we explicitly said that someone has to. Then how can we look at multiple options? Because India is so large and so diverse that there may not be a unique answer. There will be different answers. So we address this problem from multiple lenses. We also said that, look, okay, if suppose we were not to incur financial costs and keep dumping everything, then what is the economic cost? There is very large economic cost. Air pollution in itself costs 2.6 trillion to India every year, with 1.7 million deaths happening just because of air pollution. So we explicitly recognized all of that, and then went into doing a financial analysis of these two options, looking at incineration waste to energy and looking at co-processing in a cement kiln. Very quickly, I will not spend too much time on this, but we did look at both the technological pros and cons of the two technologies, also or in more deeper way, looking at the financial aspect. So when we looked at the two technologies, three key advantages which co-processing offers us. Number one, the investment is much lower because a large investment is already gone. The land, everything is already there. So naturally, that's a huge plus. Number two, cement kilns operate at a much higher temperatures, and therefore all the pollutants are managed. Cement plants are also very well regulated already by the state. So they have all the latest equipment to manage the environmental footprints, including the fact that when you co-process waste in a cement kiln, there is no residue. On the other hand, when you use a waste to energy, you are still left with a maybe 20% residue, which still needs. And of course, you have higher energy efficiency in co-processing. So therefore, the output which you get is much higher relative to waste to energy plant. So I'm not going to too much details, move on, given the timing constraint. So globally, therefore, we have seen co-processing emerging as the preferred incineration option wherever you have significant cement production. So China, as an example, has increasingly adopted. Europe, of course, has traditionally been a leader and front runner, but also China has increasingly adopted, and India being the second largest cement producer in the world globally, and with huge amount of construction which is to happen, increasing investments in the cement, it makes a lot of sense for us because we have cement plants in almost all parts of the country. So here are the four options which we looked at between the two technologies. We looked at three ways in which costs can be recovered using a co-processing facility, and we also looked at waste to energy as the fourth option. So the first three models here deploy co-processing, but they recover the cost in different ways. One way of recovering costs is that we charge the waste generators, which is all of us, commercial, industrial sectors directly. Second way is we pass the cost on through the increase in a cost of a cement bag, because again, cement gets used by all of us. Third is to pass that cost on to a charge on the property tax which the municipalities charge, with the presumption that higher the floor area which a consumer is using, higher would naturally be generated. So there is a implicit link between the amount of waste generated and amount of floor space which we consume. And for the waste to energy, we looked at the electricity tariff because that's the output which is generated by the waste to energy plant. Quickly, here are some assumptions. It's a lot of numbers. The report is available. It's on the website. You can download it. So time, but essentially for a co-processing facility, the cost comes to roughly about 25 to 30 crores of investment is needed to produce and process RDF in the city. And this analysis is, assuming a mid-sized city with a population roughly 500,000 to 1 million population. So 25 to 30 crores if we use co-processing as the option. On the other hand, for the cement, for the waste to energy, it's roughly 130 to 135 crores. That's what we're looking at. These are assumptions which we took, very standard, and of course there is a model which we can vary these. So along the four models, when we start allocating the costs, what we find is that the cost of recovering the 25-30 crores of investment plus some operating costs roughly results in an increase of 2.5 rupee for a 50 kg cement bag. Essentially an increase of less than 1% in the cost of a cement bag. And since cement is a traded commodity, it's a competitive market, the price of a cement bag anyway varies between 5 to 10 rupees, almost on a daily basis. And therefore, if you were to increase the cost of a cement bag by 2.5 rupees, as a customer, no one would notice or complain. Coming to second option, when we said that we charge every household in such a city a waste management charge directly, it came to roughly 18 rupees per month. So an average household would have to pay 18 rupees per month, which is about 200 rupees a year. Again, very small standard. Third option, where we looked at passing on the cost through a surcharge on the property tax, it resulted in a cost of about 50 rupees per 1,000 square feet per annum. So 1,000 square feet is in a Mumbai, 1,000 square feet is a fairly big house. But in most of India, it is an average, you can say 1,000 square feet if you have to decent size home, you have to pay up about 50 rupees over and above what you're already paying, which is generally low in India, 1,000 rupees, 8,000 rupees. So now you would end up paying 1,050. Fourth case where we looked at waste to energy. Waste to energy have higher costs, as I said, because it's a fresh investment. It requires land to be found in urban settings. Also, the technology is costly. So, in this case, our results pointed to an electricity tariff increase of roughly 11 paise per kilowatt hour relative to what consumers typically pays. In domestic, it's about 4 rupees per kilowatt hour. In industrial commercial, it is about 6 to 8 rupees. Again, in percentage terms, not a huge increase, but on a relative basis, we did find that the waste to energy was about 4x as expensive compared to a co-processing in a cement kiln. So the message being that, fundamentally the cost of scientifically collecting, transporting and processing of waste is not very high. The issue is mindset change. Issue is bringing, not bringing, but implementing the regulations that you already have in place in a more systematic basis. And depending on context, meaning from one city to another, there are multiple options of passing on the costs. And our report presented those options and therefore enlightened the policymakers to take an informed decision as to what makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have our friend Mr. Kanan, who is joining us online.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you for accommodating me online. And sorry if in terms of any technical glitches is there. And I am Kannan. I am representing Confederation of Indian Industry, Sorabji Godrej Green Business Center from Hyderabad. So we have been working with last 4 to 5 years with Sintef on accelerating TSR levels in India. And CIA GBC has been working for more than a decade, even under the leadership of Mr. Parlikar sir, over a decade for how we can improve the co-processing levels in Indian cement plants. So we have been happy to work with Sintef, and this is an outcome of a very short, brief presentation on the outcome of stakeholders consultation, which has been organized. I tried to stick to the timing of 5 to 7 minutes allotted to me and just start. So this is a background of RDF. Say currently we are generating MSW of around 62 million tons of MSW. And this is one of the picture taken in one of the landfill site at Delhi in 2022. And MSW management is one of the key, I would say, key significant area for India going forward. They are estimating that roughly 66,000 hectares has been required if you do business as usual way of managing the MSW, which is roughly equivalent to 3,000 cricket grounds. That is a area required for managing the waste going forward. So one of the solution which can be better to solve this problem is generating RDF from MSW. Currently, the estimates says that with a 20% yield, we can able to get 12 million tons of RDF from MSW, and which can be used for various options like waste to energy, co-processing. But the waste to energy plants as of now in the country, with the recent estimates, only 10 are operational and around 12 are non-operational, which is already existing. So the better option maybe going forward is co-processing, which has been already scientifically proven and approved by various policy frameworks, starting from Basel Convention to the various policy interventions from the country. So this can be one of the preferred option. And cement kiln co-processing, which will address dual benefit. One is reducing GHG emissions of the country. Say, as you know, India is committed to become carbon net zero by 2070. And roughly 7% of India's emissions are from the cement industry, and especially from the process emissions and fuel emissions. So going forward, this can definitely reduce overall emissions from the cement industry. And second, it also solves the other problem of waste management, because in terms of landfilling or incineration, there is a final ash generation. But whereas in cement kiln, the ash generation, no residual leftover is there, which is also a dual advantage. Both these makes cement kiln co-processing an attractive option. Currently, in India, we are around 6% TSR on average. Way back in 2010, it is less than 0.5%. So substantially, it has increased over the last decade. In terms of TSR percentage, it may look like a small number, a 6% compared to other countries where they talk about 70%, 80%, 90%. But in terms of volume, if you see, India will stand somewhere around third or fourth in the overall ranking. We have done close to 1.8 to 2 million tons of waste has been co-processed in the kiln. And from CI estimates, it has been more than 50 cement units has been co-processing in the country, different types of waste streams, and 25 cement plants have a complete infrastructure, pre and co-processing facilities for using different kinds of waste in the plant. And RDF usage, roughly 0.95 million tons has been already used by the cement plants. And CI has developed a paper called 25% thermal substitution by 2025. We look into what are the significant waste streams which can go into achieve this target. And RDF from MSW is coming more than 50% of the overall 25% TSR. So we are also looking into various challenges for achieving this 25% TSR in the Indian cement plants in terms of viable financial models, high capex and opex, capacity building of various stakeholders, ULBs, government officials, and also the local community, and quality of RDF to meet the requirement of the cement plants, and availability of quality RDF waste generators also. So these are some of the challenges we could able to come up. And with the support of Sinter, we have organized a stakeholders consultation in 2023 at Hyderabad last year. Another 2 consultations were organized in the previous years, 22. And this has been represented by all the stakeholders in terms of government, urban local bodies, cement plants, waste generators and processes, and consultant research organizations. So it's a complete stakeholders has been part of this. The main objective is to look at the opportunities and challenges for increasing the RDF usage in cement plants. So these are the key outcomes of the various stakeholder consultation conducted in the last 2 years. So the RDF usage has been substantially increased over the years. As I said, from 0.5% to 6%, at least 50% of the quantity is coming from the RDF. One of the key concerns of the cement plants is the quality of RDF in terms of the calorific value or homogeneity not meeting the requirements of the cement plant. That is one of the key concerns raised by the cement plants. And cement plants are willing to pay and take the RDF if the quality is met. So that is one of the other aspects of it. And when we discussed with the generators who are producing this RDF, they raise a point that the technology infrastructure currently what they are having may not be sufficient to meet the quality requirements. But if you go for higher technology and infrastructure, the cost associated with this is very, very high. So they looking at some of the financial support either from government or other stakeholders in going forward producing this quality RDF. And business models, already Mr. Gaurav has already addressed on this. So it is one of the key points many of the stakeholders raised it during the discussion. There is no viable long-term business models available to make this co-processing a long-term initiative. So RDF production from fresh waste must be increased. Currently, most of the RDF has been produced from the biomined waste. So as you know, the biomined waste is the old legacy waste available with the landfill sites. So there should be a more push for producing RDF from the fresh waste. And capacity building of stakeholders. Say in one of the stakeholder consultation, there is a thinking that cement plants are directly substituting coal with RDF, which is not the case. The coal stands at somewhere a calorific value of 5,000, 6,000, and whereas RDF can maximum up to 3,000, 3,500. So the capacity building of different stakeholders. And the effective implementation of SWM rules, the government also should look at, which has been released in 2016 and further updated at various levels. But the effective implementation of rules is still lagging. That can be one of the key area to be addressed going forward, the RDF usage. And the stakeholders feel that the RDF usage or the waste management should be a shared responsibility of all stakeholders. It is not only with the urban local bodies or the cement plants job to handle it. It should be a shared responsibility of all the stakeholders, which can create a win-win models. And we also discussed about pilot trial runs in cement plants during the stakeholder consultations. A small trial run which can demonstrate the RDF can be used without any problem. And a pilot trial run has been conducted in Dalmia Cement last year, where we talk about some of the RDF, not a full quality RDF, a medium kind of RDF, which has been produced from the Trichy municipality. The municipal commissioner and the officials has been visited Dalmiapuram site, and they have deputed a special team for producing this RDF, and they could able to send 30 tons of RDF for the trial purpose. The trial has been conducted at Dalmiapuram site, which is one of the oldest cement plants in the country with 5.8 million tons of capacity. And currently, Dalmiapuram unit is already using close to 30% of TSR with different kind of alternative fuels. So this is a small summary of the consultations and key outcomes of it. I happy to work with all stakeholders in accelerating RDF utilization. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so if you see, we had 5 outcomes of this. We have come to the 4th one, which was about.
So a very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are.
Susanna,
Yes, hello.
can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
And yeah. And Patricia, are you
Hey,
here?
let me.
Oh, Patricia is there. Susanna is there. And who else?
Okay.
Your microphone.
Can you hear me?
And camera. Yeah, Susanna, I can see you. I can see Rina.
Okay.
Hina is there. Hina from Maldives, right? Okay, Susanna is from Samoa. Patricia is from Micronesia. And who else? Samantha Chai from Thailand.
Yes, you just call me Matt. I'm from Thailand, MFU,
Okay.
Mapalong
And who is
University.
from Malta? Lalit.
Lalit Gargi,
Okay.
yes.
What is your time at your place now?
In Malta, it's 12:15.
Quarter past 12. Nice. Okay. So we'll give you the chance first so that you finish it and wait for listening to our views. Okay. Is it okay? And whenever you feel sleepy, you can sleep. Okay. So let us start. I'm handing over the session to Patricia and my friend Susanna to start the proceedings. And Susanna and Patricia will be chairing and co-chairing. But my hall manager, you are okay. My hall manager, Milin Gawai is here. So any problem he will manage. Plus there are a number of students. Okay. So please start.
Okay.
Susanna, Patricia, please start. The time for a single presentation is 10 minutes. After 8 minutes, they will show you the 2 minutes notice that you have to stop. And whenever 10 minutes, they will show you our time is over. Okay. And at the end of the session,
Okay.
you will have your question answer session and the chair summary. Please start your session. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. But I'll be here.
Okay. Thank you.
Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Professor Bosch.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session. I'm Susanna, and I'll be chairing this session, and we'll be co-chairing with Patricia from FSM. And I'm from here in Samoa, and I'm representing SPREP, regional organization. So our session will be focusing on waste management and circular economy in small islands and Asia Pacific countries. So can I invite the first presenter to present? That will be Dr. Rahul Vaidya. Is that the correct presenter's name? Or
So thank you very much indeed for this opportunity. I'm from the University of Malta. Well, this topic is about health intelligence. I know this is waste management and in circular economy. Although we can see the maximum waste we can have in healthcare and I hope this will make some sense, although this is a bit different area of research. So why we need waste management? To understand that the first thing is complex systems we have to understand. So in where there are more than one entity are interacting with each other, the state of the system will depend on that interaction. Okay, so the future state, to understand or to know the future state, we have to know all these interactions and how these are affecting other interactions. So when there are multiple entities, this might become a complex system. So it's extremely difficult to predict the future state. And if we are not correctly able to detect future state, it results in waste, because we might have more resources available, but less are utilized. So the remaining are wastage if they are not utilized in time. So we can see in an economy, this is a very good depiction of the economy. the like a customer, then a wholesaler, and then the government or regulations, and all these are making regulations for the customer. So it's a circular economy. Okay, so to deal with these problems, we can use intelligent systems to overcome limitations of human intelligence, like human intelligence in limited in knowledge collection, because we have only 5 senses. Knowledge processing, we have only one brain, which is limited, and it might be biased. And we have very little opportunities to take decisions so that we can correct our future decisions. Unfortunately, many times, because we are taking the real decisions, we have no chance to correct them. While in case of machine intelligence or extended intelligence, we can have unlimited sensors to collect knowledge, and we can ensure the correct knowledge is collected, and then we can also ensure it is not biased, and we can have infinite number of machines to process that knowledge, and we can simulate the decisions and their impact so that we can correct future decisions, and that's through reinforcement learning. Okay, so why that is important, we can see in holy book Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it was told karmandeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan, means our control is on our deeds, but not in its outcome. And why is that? Because we are not able to correctly predict or detect the interaction of various entities. So whole knowledge system is to understand all these interactions so that we can ensure the outcome is whatever is expected. So we can take the right decisions. And because of that, there is always a difference between reality and perception, because many times when we do not have sufficient knowledge, we take decisions based on our perception, okay? And which affects the outcome quite a lot. So for example, this is a terrain and you are at the beginning of this terrain, you can only see local maxima because you do not have knowledge of global maxima. You might consider it as a global maximum, which might create a problem, okay? So if you further analyze, you will realize a country which is developed is having more knowledge available so they can take more stable decisions, or their economy and all institutions are stable, so they need not to have much uncertainty, okay? While if there are short-term decisions taken because of little knowledge, they are less developed or undeveloped countries. To see it further, we can see here, this is a classical problem of traveling salesman. A salesman need to travel 5 cities, okay? And if he is not having knowledge of all the distance, routes and everything, what he will do is he will go to the first city, which is the nearest one, and then he will decide, okay, which city he should go, and then further he should go to other cities, okay? That way he might require to travel more than if he has all the knowledge in advance. Then he can trace the route before starting the journey, and he will require to travel less. So you can easily see there is a wastage in resources, which affects the growth of the nation. If we are talking about the nation or the organization, okay, so it affects the growth of the organization or profitability of that organization, okay? So because of that, they have various biases like optimism bias, okay? To deal with these scenarios, okay, we are now developing digital twins, okay? Digital twins are digital replica of real scenarios, okay? So that we can take various actions and see how will be the outcome of these actions, so that in the real scenario, we will take the correct action. Okay, so in healthcare, digital twins can help forecast the number of hospital admissions, bed availability, waiting time, okay, availability of healthcare professionals, impact of various factors. Okay, it can also help to minimize disease risk because we know what are the factors affecting our disease risk. Okay, it can help in improving diagnosis. Okay, it can help in better capacity planning, discharge planning. Okay, and optimum utilization of resources to understand the impact of various factors to prepare our healthcare system to deal with all these factors and providing optimum care. So, all right, it looks like the digital twin is something magical. So, what is that? Okay. So, in healthcare, okay, we can have predictive analysis where we will predict by taking all the data, we will predict the disease risk or what are a number of admissions we might have at the hospital. So for each patient, we might have genetic makeup information, present health status, environmental factor, diet and medicine, sleep, stress, lifestyle, activities, exercise and therapy and relationship, social and economical status. All these data can be fed to the machine or the digital twin. Okay, and based on that, it will predict. Okay. Now, if it can predict, it can also prescribe to avoid or to prevent that these diseases like controlling environmental factors, diets, meditation, sleep, stress, lifestyle changes, exercise, therapy, medical tests, investigation, treatment, surgery, gene editing, precautions, and monitoring. So all these interventions it can prescribe. Okay. Now, if there are so many interactions, what if we can also simulate each of these interactions on that particular human phenotype or his replica or her digital replica and see how these will work, what might be the outcome. And then we will select the best optimum intervention so that minimizing the side effects, minimizing the wastage. Okay. So that way we can have a digital twin. Okay. So it has all this information, your general information, for example, height, weight, say BMI, genomic profile, phenotype, medical history, family history, diet, activity, travel history, predictive and prescriptive analysis. Okay. And we can see all these interactions happening in the machine, and then based on that, it is taking decisions. Okay. So that is what we are working on. Okay. You can understand this in easy language. If someone is having some health episode, for example, chest pain. Okay. So based on individual's profile, it can decide how much is the risk of this chest pain is due to I don't know, heart attack or some other problems. Okay. And what the best should be done, like which hospital he or she should go, or should he contact the ambulance or go to the air ambulance, or I don't know. So that way the person will take the optimum decision to minimizing or the risk of adverse impact and ensuring the best outcomes. Okay. So this is one of the examples. We used satellite data to understand how the weather and pollution is affecting, or environmental factors are affecting, even the height, where he's living, all these factors putting into the digital twin. Okay. So there are many other research we are doing, but I think this is already 10 minutes of my time. So thank you very much indeed for your attention.
I would request we have a keynote sessions by Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja regarding sustainable biomass value chain in India.
One of the relevant subjects of bioenergy, biofuels, and sustainability around biofuels. I'll talk about sustainable biomass value chain in India, and this is something which can get extrapolated to the other geographies around the world. Specifically,
I'll change it for you. Meanwhile, I'll just fix this.
so, thank you.
Most welcome, sir.
So, we are India's leading company in the biomass bioenergy sector. Our journey started as a snapshot of 2011, And today, it's a good topic. And if you see how we have moved or transitioned, starting from a supply chain management company, we have gone up the value chain to start becoming asset owners. And that's about a sector of space where we were early movers as a startup, as an entrepreneurial journey, identifying a problem statement, bringing solutions to that, and then creating a company of value which we can work with. In this journey, one of the key elements where I think the previous sessions also some speakers were talking about is how you find sustainable finance around building ecosystems, and I think that's where also we have been fairly advanced and successful in galvanizing various forms of capital. So our business today is a complete value chain of biomass bioenergy, starting with what we have as a consulting division. This division builds the ecosystem for sustainable supply chain management of feedstock, and more particularly farm agri residue feedstock over here. If that is to be managed for various types of energy, and I'm consciously using the word energy over here, because when we look at the renewable energy space and where we have been working in the last decade plus, has been more predominantly on the renewable electricity. And today, we need to work on the renewable energy space. So besides electricity, all other forms of energy also need to get decarbonized or become renewable. And that's where you would find the newer forms of energy or the energy transition coming in, where biofuels, green hydrogen, and such forms of new energy start kicking. And that's why this is something which is very important to do to build a sustainable stack for that upstream energy source to be tapped and available in a sustainable format. And the cement companies earlier spoke about AFR and other things. India has 1,500 million metric tons of farm agri residue availability annualized. And it's a base resource, or it's a resource available from farm fields, which post the harvest the farmers burn. We're seeing dairy black and so on and so forth. Just to give you a flavor of how it burns, the maximum number of farm fires per square kilometers in the state of Punjab. And if anybody here or somebody who's online can talk about which is the second state. And conscious of our time, the second state is Madhya Pradesh. And we just don't know about Madhya Pradesh farm fires. We don't know about the effects or ill effects that causes in central India. And why? Because it's not Delhi. So the media doesn't write about it and we don't know about it. We only say Delhi was bad. No. Every farm was harvested in India, including in Maharashtra. The residues burnt in the field because the farmer wants to throw it. So this is where that resource can get utilized. Now, such resource can get utilized if the industry, which is midstream, moves towards such a resource. And thereby, large-scale asset creation has to happen towards the farm fields. But if you aren't able to do that for whatever reasons, and industrialization typically happens more closer to town than city, then you need to densify this biomass to move. So from low density biomass, now you set up industrialization in rural parts to densify such biomass into briquettes and pellets and then effectively transfer. Further, today where does this get utilized? And when I'm talking here, this particular biomass is utilized for its calorific value, heating, burning value. So densified biomass can still replace fossil fuel for its heating value and compete with fossil fuel energy on pricing, and we talk all about it later. So what do we do further? We take such biomass into steam boilers, hot air generators, thermic fluid heaters across industry. FMCG, chemical, fertilizer, breweries, tannery, rubber, medicines, API, all industries utilize what is called as industrial seed. It's a process steam, and we utilize such biomass for generating such steam, and we replace from industry, so that's our CNI client, corporate and industrial client, we replace coal, LDO, furnace oil, diesel in some cases, thereby decarbonizing the industry within its boundary. And after that, now we are where India has taken the lead globally by, as part of the G20 takeaway, the Global Biofuel Alliance. So India, US, and Brazil are the founder nations as part of the Global Biofuel Alliance. And that's the new generation of fuels. Compressed biogas or renewable natural gas, biodiesel, bioethanol, sustainable aviation fuels. All of this is towards the 80% of energy decarbonization. And that's coming from your biomass. And then certain projects where innovative use of such energy is being done by us. So that's our present footprint across India in a short span of a decade plus. So again, this sector is rural to urban, moving energy from rural parts to urban parts. And what we have been able to do is bring corporatization to such an unorganized sector. And that's again one of the first, because for sustainable practices in energy, there is a critical need to bring it at a corporate level. And that's where if you are able to do that, formal capital can be available. So it's very important. And that's why we have a strong board represented by all the investor shareholders that I spoke. A very strong team. And what you see here, most of us are ex-defense people. So, there is an adage, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan. So I think our business model fits to the T with that. The unique model is building a farmer-centric supply chain management, inclusive to the farmer. And what we coin here is a word called as a VLE, village level entrepreneur. So we create an entrepreneurship network amongst farmers, allow them and empower them to be able to remove biomass from the field. So we don't enter the farmers' fields. The farmers themselves work utilizing equipment, training, finance, management done by or provided by my company, Presper. But they work, and we at the end of the day bring such resource to a collection center where the energy now is kind of captive. So instead of going into the earth's crust to remove coal, gas, crude, and then transport it across continents, we have energy which is the same carbon which centuries in the earth's existence has got captured as a carbon trail, and we extract it to use that energy and put the carbon in the atmosphere. Thereby, what we have done over the last 100 years of industrialization, we captured carbon back into the atmosphere, which is the global warming, and which we want to abate across the globe now. But we have natural carbon, which is CO2 in the atmosphere, which in the photosynthesis process, in 4 months' time, this rice paddy straw here is capturing. So it's carbon capture, it's natural carbon storage, and we, as industrialization, are utilizing it. So what we are talking about today as abatement is carbon capture, carbon storage, carbon utilization. Nature is doing it for us. So all we need to do is what nature has done, utilize it effectively. Rather than putting a new CO2 molecule in the atmosphere, use what is captured and keep the circular economy loop going. So don't put any additional new carbon atom back into the atmosphere is the mantra. Now, these are some of our clients. And if you see this client list, you name the marquee client globally, are today working with us on their biofuel mandate, their decarbonization mandate, and the energy from biomass. And this will also give you a flavor of how in the last decade plus, we have moved sustainability as a choice. Cement sector spoke over here in the previous session, and you see all the cement majors have signed up with a principle for decarbonizing. So what we build is the robust supply chain management network, and this is the upstream part, where we work with farmers, and this is how we engage with them in rural parts. We explain to them what they have to do in their entrepreneurial drive if they are willing to take it. And thereafter, this is a particular case of an individual here, and you see the same person in 18 months, we could empower him by the money that he earned from a waste stream to buy a second-hand car and 2 new tractors. So that's the kind of wealth that you share and put back in the rural network with such sustainable practice. Okay, different types of post-harvest farming equipment are needed depending on the type of agriculture practice, and this gives you a snapshot of that which we provide to the farmers. Biomass still comes to us in all traditional forms, rudimentary forms across India. These are our storage centers in Punjab. We also plan for the industry to have energy resource available 24/7, 365 days a year. And hence, because of the short window of availability of non-agri residue, you have to build storage, densification storage, or maybe storages like this as it is aggregated, so that the industry or the energy need can be met 365 days, 24/7. So it's 2 parts to it. One is the upstream supply chain management, which is the key, and then the midstream operation of the asset, and then downstream the usage of the energy. Okay. We are the number 1 L1 bidder across the biofuel segment, and here is one contract which we are presently servicing in Uttar Pradesh. Then we have briquetting plants across different types of biomass, so cotton stalk in Maharashtra, corn cob in Karnataka, mustard stalk in Rajasthan, green waste in Goa, and based on our plant offtake, we plan for storage across various I would say energy storage hubs which we create in a decentralized format. Now we also, for the ease of purpose of a client in an ESCO model, so energy service contract model, we operate such assets for our clients. And hence, the client does not need to worry about utility energy. But a press here aggregates the biomass, densifies the biomass, moves the biomass, and also operates the energy assets across India to deliver the energy to the client. Now, just see the snapshot. We started on our ESCO journey in 2017. Today we are in end of 23. And this is how we envisage the growth. So in itself, this is giving you a snapshot of how decarbonization within industry in India is happening. Only on one sector, the boiler steam. There are others which we can talk about. So we go a step ahead where we also own such boiler assets. And thereby, you need to build or operate them, which we do. And around that, we build based on the global environment, health, safety standards, processes. And as I talked about corporatization, industrialization going rural, and that's also something which needs to be done, thereby bringing the standards of projects to global standards. So these are all photographs of our assets, and this is how it is every day. Much, much more cleaner than any fossil fuel asset that you can look at. Okay, so we also build our own projects. So we are a holistic company where we don't outsource the EPC, which is engineering, procurement, construction, but we do it in-house. And the reason there is we like to get our hands dirty. I spoke about Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan. If we have to own these assets, operate them, have capacity utilization to the optimum, have plant load factors to the optimum, then we must understand the assets to be the best. And hence we build all our assets together. We operate them, we deliver energy to our clients, Now, uniquely look at this project, it has been awarded within India globally, where we started construction on 9th of April. 11 months we completed the project despite 2 floods on site. And on 24th of March, we went into nationwide lockdown for COVID. And the asset should have stopped first 4 days. But this asset continued to operate right through COVID because we were servicing a pharma company to full capacity because we didn't have to import energy. We were in a decentralized 50-kilometer radius. And today, 4 years down the line, operating to plus 98% capacity utilization and plant load factor. Thereby, the saving that the company has had on the energy cost is at least 5 times more than the asset value in the short period. And this asset has a 20-25 year life. So we built it ourselves. As I mentioned, we operated ourselves. So we are a ESCO company rated by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. We are a grade 2 ESCO company. This is something which we have brought into India, which is eco-cremation. Removing wood from our Hindu crematoriums. And this is a snapshot of a successful project which is still ongoing in Aurangabad, in Maharashtra. And if you see how we have replaced wood, which was 71% when we started off in November 22, to a number of October, where it is 75% on sustainable briquettes and only 25% on wood. So societal change at scale has been achieved, and this model has been accepted by Government of India for implementation across every Hindu crematorium. So again, what I'm trying to give you as a message is a problem statement. You can bring a low-cost, effective solution around it, implement it, and then get the success. We have built eco-chulas. We have done projects with the tea industry, thereby replacing use of fossil fuel LPG and wood across the cooking segment. So where are we going to? 2G ethanol projects are running, compressed biogas, replacement of wood, green hydrogen, biochemicals, biofertilizers, sustainable aviation fuel, combined heat and power plants, and so on and so forth. So wherever you can do crude, petrochemicals, today you can do biomass, biochemicals, the carbon steel. I'm also the chairman of CBI. This is the industry body. So we do share the economic effects with everybody, equal opportunities for our women colleagues across the SDG goals. We deliver on 10 of them with the business model. And we are awarded, as I said, the journey within India, internationally, very recently by World Bank as one of the leading ESCO companies. Some of the other awards that we are awarded with. Thank you. Open to questions.
Thank you very much for the very informative presentation. For all, I'm Susanna, and I'll be presenting on waste management and circular economy in the Pacific Seas. And I'll be representing the SPREP, which is the Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment Program. And I'm the solid waste management for the regional organization that I worked in. Moving on to the next slide. Thank you. Before I start presenting on the presentation that I'm tasked for, I just want to highlight just a brief summary of SPREP, which is the regional organization that I work for, and it was established in 1993 in Samoa, just for you to have an idea of the regional organization that I'm representing for this presentation. And the SPREP was mandated to promote cooperation in South Pacific region and to provide assistance in order to protect and improve the environment and to ensure the sustainable development for present and future generations. So SPREP is guided by its vision for future a resilient Pacific environment, sustaining our livelihood and natural heritage in harmony with our cultures. So for SPREP, they have a total number of 26 member governments that includes 21 Pacific Island countries and territories and 5 metropolitan countries that includes Australia, France, New Zealand, UK, and USA. So SPREP has 4 core priorities and focus in areas of climate change resilience, island and ocean ecosystems, effective waste management and pollution control, and environmental governance. And for more information, if you would like to learn more about SPREP, please do visit our website, which I have on the screen, which is www.sprep.org. Okay, now moving on to the outline of my presentation. I'll be touch basing on waste management in Pacific Seas, the challenges of waste management and how to overcome the challenges of waste management faced by the Pacific Seas. And also I'll be linking it to circular economy in the Pacific Seas, challenges of circular economy, opportunities of circular economy, and the benefits of circular economy for the Pacific Seas. And then I will conclude my presentation. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Waste management is a serious environmental problem in the Pacific Seas, and in which Pacific Seas are overwhelmed and struggling to manage the increasing generation of waste. As most of the Pacific Island countries, they are heavily reliant on their imported goods, which creates a one-way flow of materials into the small countries. A challenge, waste management is also a challenge due to lack of funds, resources, equipment, and capacity to manage waste. And in terms of capacity, is the limited capacity to dispose of solid waste is linked to geographical isolation, limited available land for waste management facilities, high cost of providing collection and disposal services to small and dispersed population and small economies of scale. And lastly is that Pacific Seas are also extremely vulnerable to severe weather events and the impacts of climate change that contributes to the generation of large volumes of waste, such as fallen trees, debris, and following the cyclones. Next slide, please. So moving on to challenges of waste management in the Pacific Seas. It includes the lack of effective waste management planning and implementation plans, in which some of these includes due to lack of direction or leadership, no waste management policy in place, lack of relevant data that is needed, lack of necessary expertise and experience, lack of funds, sources, and equipment. Also, secondly is the ineffective and or inappropriate institutional arrangements and limited institutional capacity to manage waste, given the small size of the Pacific Seas. For example, lack of or inadequate legislations and regulations in place, lack of enforcement of existing legislations, particularly in regards to the prevention of littering and indiscriminate dumping waste, inappropriate or ineffective government agencies managing waste, in some cases including landfill waste disposal site, not primary or core functions of that departments, for example, Department of Health, lack of suitable resources for undertaking waste management activities, and so forth. Thirdly is the increasing quantities of waste materials requiring management of disposal. So as the years goes by, the increasing of waste generation has been an issue and a challenge that the Pacific Seas are facing currently. And with the lack of disposal waste, this is a particular problem on small atoll islands with large or increasing urban populations. For example, in the countries of Pacific Seas of Kiribati, Tuvalu, Republic of Marshall Islands, and so forth, where there is simply no dry land available for landfilling. So it makes it a challenge in terms of waste disposal. Also a problem on larger islands, for example, Tonga, Fiji, and this is due to land ownership arrangements and most of the landowners, they don't want their lands to be used as dump sites or as landfills. And lastly is the inefficient or empty waste collection services, which is something that is a challenge in the Pacific Seas, is that the coverage of waste collection services is not a full coverage of each of the countries, but there are some parts that they don't have any waste collection services. So this makes it very hard for managing of waste in the Pacific Seas. And also the lack of land available for disposing of waste, given that the land is very, very limited land, and especially with issues with the land, issues with landowners and so forth. Next, please. Okay. Overcoming challenges of waste management in the Pacific Seas is also a challenge, but it's something that we need to move forward in terms of managing of waste in the Pacific Seas. And some of the things that I have highlighted here are just some of the ways of how we can overcome, but there are a lot of list of things that we can overcome these challenges, especially with the Pacific Seas. Firstly is focus on reducing volume of solid waste, increasing collection of services, as well as strengthening of disposal systems. And secondly is the regional corporations that can help unify rules on the types of products and packaging that enters the region. And thirdly is establishing a regional recycling network, which is something that the Pacific Seas are looking into establishing to assist with waste management. And this can increase economies of scale, help make recycling a more economically viable solution, and attract private sector involvement. A regional solid waste management network can help meet economic, social, and environmental objectives, starting with high-value waste such as abandoned cars or tires, and scaling it up over time. And lastly is moving towards circular economy, which is something that I'll be presenting on the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Circular economy and linear economy in the Pacific Seas. I'm sure everybody knows what is linear economy and what is circular economy, but I'll just present it briefly. For linear economy is a system in which people buy a product, use it, and then throw it away, which is a take, make, waste approach. This is currently used in most of the Pacific Seas, is the linear economy. And with a lot of issues with the increasing generation of waste with the linear economy, the Pacific Seas is moving towards the circular economy, which is a system where materials never become waste and nature is regenerated. In the circular economy, products and materials are kept in the circulation through process like maintenance, reuse, refurbishment, remanufacture, recycling, and composting, just like how the diagram is shown for circular economy, is that it will stay within the loop, the circular economy. And such examples of circular economy is electrical devices are designed in such a way that they are easier to repair. Products and raw materials are also reused as much as possible, and plastic can be recycled into pellets for making new plastic products. So in the Pacific Seas, it's not really a full circular economy, but it's been scattered in terms of there are progress made to towards circular economy in terms of composting, in terms of single-use plastic bans. All these regulations or legislations they are putting in place in some of the Pacific countries. So it is moving towards circular economy, but it's something that the Pacific Seas needs to have more capacity in terms of putting in place systems and legislations and the capacity that needs to be to revolve around circular economies so that we can have a full circular economy for the Pacific Seas, which is a challenge, but it's something that they are working towards. Next slide, please. Okay, challenges of circular economy in the Pacific Seas. It's something, circular economy is something that we really want to step forward to or to progress forward to, but it's also a challenge for the Pacific Seas. That includes lack of capacity in order to have this system, this circular economy implemented in country, as well as lack of awareness of financial mechanisms to implement sustained circular economy, lack of proper equipment and technology available in the Pacific Seas. And also it's very hard to change the behavior, the behavior of the communities to be able to accept the circular economy. So this is something that is a challenge while we are trying to implement or to include this new circular economy into the communities of the Pacific Seas. And also institutional arrangements is something that they need to be done in order to welcome the circular economy in the Pacific Seas. The lack of policies and legislations, the remoteness and the issues of exporting recyclables, waste and other material waste for recycling. It's something that is a challenge for the Pacific Seas. I'll just run through very fast. Opportunities for circular economies in the seas is also to enhance the sustainability, development impacts of tourism, business opportunities, generating well-being of local populations through the creation of new jobs, improve waste management, more inclusive of local value chains, and reduce population and impacts to the environment, and a cleaner and healthier environment for the Pacific Seas. So this is a good opportunity for the Pacific Seas, is to have that, to move forward to circular economy. Next slide. Okay. Benefits for circular economy in the Pacific Seas. It's also benefiting in terms of economic, which has economic growth, also job creation, as mentioned before, business resilience, increased customer loyalty, and lastly is the environment, in which reduce the use of non-renewable resources, reduce the GHG emissions, reduce waste, and reduce resource consumptions. And to conclude, this presentation provides a closer look at how they can assist in terms of waste management in the Pacific Seas and to achieve circular economy. As we see that the current linear model or make waste contributes to the increasing waste generation in the Pacific region, leading to the increasing quantity of waste piling up at the disposal sites, increasing pollution into our environment and exploitation of resources. And on the other hand, is the circular economy approach that advocates a change to a way items are developed and manufactured to design out waste approach that replaces the current make waste linear model of production, consumptions, and disposal by ensuring products can be reused, remanufactured, recycled, or recovered. And in conclusion, Pacific Seas needs to move towards circular economy in order to better manage waste and to protect limited resources available while contributing to a cleaner and healthier environment for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will invite our next presenter on waste management system, challenges in storing of waste and resource recovery in Micronesia. Miss Patricia, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you to the team of the ICON SWM 2023 for giving us the opportunity to present today. I'll be presenting on waste management systems and the circular economy in the FSM, which stands for Federated States of Micronesia. My name is Patricia Pedres. You can call me Patty, and I work for the FSM Department of Environment, Climate Change, and Emergency Management. Next slide, please. In my presentation today, I will be focusing on the challenges in order to present a picture of the current waste management systems throughout the 4 states of the Federated States. Several islands scattered, and but mainly today we have 4 main island entities, including a national government. So at the national government level, I'm part of the team that facilitates the efforts of the states in waste management. So having said that, let me just touch on some of the challenges. When we talk about circular economy on small islands, as Susanna has presented earlier as well, we can actually say that there are bits and pieces of the circular economy that are in place on small islands. And with that, let me just go over the challenges. Some of the challenges that represent small island developing states include remoteness, and this affects ability to be part of the global supply chain. Small islands rely heavily on external markets because its own resource bases are narrow. The development needs are unique and vulnerability is extreme. Small islands are country of imports. We rely on outside to bring in the materials that we need. And because of that, there is a tendency to pile and store waste. And then while we store and while we pile them up, we also have the challenge of limited space, limited infrastructure systems. And of course, when it comes to funding, the public sector plays a central role, as in the economy, as the administrator of the compact money. So the FSM is reliant on the US for funding, the United States, and we have a compact agreement. The current status of FSM's waste management systems can be seen in 2 levels, at the national level and of course at the state level. So at the national level, right now we're currently working on, in addition to what's on the list, we're currently working on developing our national waste management strategy, which will include a hazardous waste component. But we also have a one-time use plastic and styrofoam regulation that's in place. And this was just recently implemented in 2020. Why did we decide to do this? Is because we wanted, this was another step of minimizing waste. And this is another innovative way of working towards a circular economy. In addition to this, we also have the annual cleanup day, which was initiated by our government leaders to address waste issues. And this helps us to work closely with the states and find innovative ways to engage the general public to address waste management issues. There are trashathons. There are contests in the municipal government, municipalities, and the schools. And then there is also a focus on design for innovative ways to work towards a circular economy. At the state level, most of the states already have a container deposit legislation in place, and this allows the states to amend, as they progress in their work for waste management, so that they can include other areas, so that this can also help them generate their own funding to support their waste management activities. As waste management, activities mostly is reliant on funding. Then there are also 3R activities, which also has allowed the whole of FSM to promote reduce, reuse, and recycle activities through innovative creation of bins, innovative ways of reusing plastic. We've implemented repurposing activities and tried to expand that throughout the federation. Then there is also composting, which some of the states are undergoing projects through our regional partners, PREP, as well as JICA. And we have our local, our national college that also implements a composting program throughout the 4 states. So composting is pretty much active, and we also see that while we're also trying to enhance our chemical management system, we found out that in trying to collect data, we found out that composting has replaced a lot of the pesticides and insecticides that were in place. So we're not using artificial ways of planting, but we're actually now going back to the earth, using those earthly methods to address some of the green waste. And then this no plastic shopping bag law has been implemented throughout the states, and we see that some of the states are actually encouraging the general public to use other ways of shopping. Instead of using the regular plastic shopping bags, they're actually using cloth and weaving baskets, relying more on local goods. But of course, there's still the challenge of, confiscating plastic. So that's an ongoing thing that we have been trying to address. And then in terms of collection and disposal and landfill management, we've worked with one of our regional partner, JICA, to help us understand and implement the Fukuoka method type of landfill, which really this doesn't require a lot of materials, but developed by using your natural. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia, for the presentation. And now I will hand over to the next presenter. on the effectiveness and the cost of subsidizing the reverse logistics for recycled materials from islands.
Good evening, everyone from Thailand. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Thank you. Good evening. It's 7:30 here in Thailand, but I think the other participants should be ready. So today I would like to represent our team and making the presentation. Dr. Samathachai is actually also joining this session online, but the last researcher, she just confirmed COVID this morning, so she could not attend. But I think we wish her well. So this is our research center at Mae Fah Luang University. So unlike some of the other presentation, Thailand is not exactly island nation, but we actually have many islands in the east and in the south. But our university is located way in the north. Today, I'm going to present a project that we have in collaboration with Coca-Cola Foundation Thailand. So I highlight all of the members of our research center that currently working on this project. So the problem that we found was that when we going to this tourist destination on the islands, we noticed that the waste management over there has one big problem, especially for some basic recyclable, especially glass bottle, which should be fairly easy to recycling. But when we have to take into account like the cost of transporting the material back to the mainland, we have good facility on the mainland to process this. But then the transportation was the bottleneck that kind of prevent this circularity to happen. So that's why we work out this proposal with the Coca-Cola Foundation that Mae Fah Luang University with our research center, we will pilot the project where we're going to compensate the junk shop on the island over the shipment of material back to the mainland for recycling. So basically what we do is that we subsidize the shipping cost for the island. And we want to see how much we can increase in terms of recycling based on the baseline that we have on the three islands in the east of Thailand. So you can see in the map here, there is like some dot that are Koh Chang, Koh Si Chang, and Koh Ma. We estimate that before our project, they managed to recycle, meaning that they have to collect, aggregate, and then send it over to the mainland. They managed to do that about 60 tons per month. But one of the material that difficult for them is glass bottle because it's heavy and it also have low value. So before our project, junk shop did not buying glass, and there is no one who can manage it because on the island they have small incinerator, it would not burn, and you don't have big landfill, so it just left on the island. We estimate that if we can move glass back to the mainland, that would increase about 50% because glass is quite voluminous on the island. So our proposal to the Coca-Cola Foundation was that we can manage to increase 50% of recycling rate just by simply subsidize the shipment. However, we also predict that it would be quite difficult in the beginning. So we kind of set the target on the 4th month that these 50% would increase. And that seemed to be quite wise to do because actually during the first 2 months, we could not recruit the junk shop into the project because it kind of sounds suspicious. You're going to the junk shop in the informal sector, asking them that, okay, if you report, we will pay you the shipment. So some actually guess that I might come from the revenue department that going to, charge them some tax. So in the first few months, it's kind of tricky. But then after we managed to earn some trust of some of the junk shop on these 3 islands, and then after we really paying the subsidy, the word spread to the other junk shop. So after 3 months, we managed to recruit most of the junk shop on these 3 islands. And you can see that the number is kind of increasing rapidly after that. So the bar is the real number that had been shipped out from these 3 islands. The blue is the Koh Chang, which is the largest island in our pilot project. Sea Chang is orange and then Koh Mak is green. And then compared to the baseline, which is like the gray dot line below, the increase was actually almost 50% after the 7 month period. So that has been like a key milestone. And when we look into the type of the material that has been shipped out from the island, it turned out that glass now dominate by weight. So glass account for like half of the recyclable material that can be moved away from the island. And because our funder are, the company that selling beverage, so we also interested in like what are the percentage of the beverage container that we subsidize. And you can see like within plastic and metal, there are PET bottle and aluminum can that can be sent out. Most of the glass are bottle, so that all kind of almost exclusively beverage container. However, we still could not move beverage box because there is no market even on the mainland. So even though we pay for the boat, for the ship, no junk shop on the island would collect that. So this is still one of the problem that we have. So it's not just the logistic problem, but we need to kind of find another solution on the mainland. And when we look at the cost of subsidizing, actually this project has been really cost effective because unlike other CSR projects that we have seen for recycling from many major brands, we did not kind of building the whole chain. We only fixing the broken link in logistics. So it costs only like $7 per ton in Koh Chang. This is like the closest island. For the other 2 islands, although the cost is kind of double to like 13 or 14 USD per ton, but it's still much cheaper than the other recycling initiative that we have seen, because we rely on the existing network of the informal sector and recycling facility. We just matching them and linking them by adding the subsidy. So this has been kind of working, and based on our analysis, we found that it's not the transportation cost per se, because if you compare two kind of glasses, there is the refillable glass bottle on the lower end of the left-hand side. For those, actually the transportation cost per unit is quite high because you need to stack them. You cannot crush them. But because if it's reusable bottle, you get quite fairly good price for these stacked bottle. So the cost of transportation only account for 2% of the selling price of the material. So there is no problem moving this kind of glass, but it's only tiny fraction of only a few beer company that doing that. But for most of the glass bottle, they will end up in the far end, meaning that even though junk shop can crush them and the transportational cost is significantly lower than the stacked bottle, the selling price for this crushed glass is really small. It's only like 2.5 baht per kilo. So with this kind of small selling price, the cost of shipping is 1/3 of the total value. So that's why this glass had been stuck on the island before our project. So we have seen a few material that might end up in the same way, like the mixed paper and the mixed plastic. So our project can be extended to this fraction also. And based on the early success, we managed to sign the MOU with the foundation and expand our project to other islands on the east. And then we have another partner, the Prince Songkhla University from the south, that expand the project to the other 2 islands in the south of Thailand. And just fast forward to what happened with the project today. So the first 7 months, we reached 600 tons from the first 3 islands. Now we're working with 3 more islands. So we have 6 islands, 24 junk shops. And at the end of October, we managed to send out 2,481 tons. So during this almost 2-year period, we subsidized 1,192 shipments and managed to, move most of the glass from the island. So that kind of the big achievement that we have. And based on our study, we can conclude that, cost-effective approach is possible because right now our country is drafting a new law that will oblige all the producer to responsible for the recycling of their packaging. Of course, there is some opposition of the industry, but the main point is how much it would cost. If we can show them that there is a cost-effective system, that we don't need to build like the whole recycling system, but we can only fix the broken link in the change, then the money might not be that big that we need to get from the industry, and we can kind of have the buy-in effect from some people in the industry. So that kind of the key message. And we highlight the role of the informal sector, the so-called informal sector in circular economy. We just need to get a way to make them better. So that would be the end of our project. And this is one of the many projects that my research center has been working. And last year, we get the Prime Minister Award for the environmental conservation. So that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you. I will be happy to take any question if you have.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much for the presentation. May I invite the next presenter, Maldives Sustainability Towards Circular Economy, Dr. Ina.
Very good afternoon, everyone. Look, the bird is flying for the best way forward towards a circular economy. All right. What I want to do is tell you about how Maldives, the beautiful Maldives, everybody would hear that it is the paradise in the world. But sometimes when you think of the circular waste and things, how much is wasted, you sometimes might be doubtful. But let's get going. This is Maldives. If you see, it's a paradise in here. And I just want to share with you, this is our language. Divahiraj is what we call a Maldives in our own language. My language is Divahi language. And I just need to have a look at, this is how we dress up, and that's our flag we are very proud of. And that's the color you see when you come to the Maldives. Always it's with the very bright colors. And the Maldives, as it is, it's just 1% land and 99% we are sea. So most of what you see is dumped into the sea. So I just want to highlight of how the place and the structure. It is from above. If you see, you'll see like these colors around, and there's the faro, the coral around the islands where you could just go and have a nice sea bath. Let me look at the global situation. We say that 2.7 billion people use on-site sanitation, and in Kenya, 70% population use an on-site sanitation, 95, and so on. And if we go to why sustainability and security in Maldives, I could be saying that the Maldives are popularly known as tourist destination, is less popularly known as the third most endangered island nation due to the potential flooding from climate change. And so we are always very aware to be of talking about the climate. So there we have more than 80% of it. And with that 1,190 coral islands, there's just less than 1 meter above the sea level. And if you go through, you'll say the Martin Medina says Maldives is one of the world's most beautiful, but the small tropical island with lush vegetation, the sandy beaches, everything, and its coral reefs are the 7th largest, though the country's natural beauty attracts many. Over 10 years, tourism has increased, annual rate of 8%, but now it has gone 10% and lowered down a bit during the COVID time. And if that we have decided to focus on attracting visitors as well the tourists pay but high one, although that has changed and average people can come in here. Why do not in Maldives we do not know what true percent of Maldives wastewater is as it is as well, but Maldives as a country is just 1%. So wastewater recycling infrastructure are always low in the Maldives, but a good part of it is some of the countries, even though the country's diseases are water related, we are lucky that most children get access to very clean water. The situation, we all have been talking about the circular economy, so I would rather skip the explanation and then just try to see how this is why we are concentrating on the circular economy, where we want to recover and reuse and make it circular so that everybody will be happy without thinking too much of wasting. Now, current situation, now food waste generated from tourism, I will be concentrating on the tourism mostly. And this is generally separated from other forms of waste and mostly dumped into the huge ocean. That is the 99% of the ocean. And resorts are still practicing dumping, even though no matter how much that has been talked about. There are regulations put on, and even though the reports and about given organic waste comprise like 89% and food waste comprise about 40% of all the organic waste. But waste was in a way originally collected by private operations within the resorts, but somehow we always find out that they come and dump, because for us in Maldives, they always go to the bin becomes the sea. No matter what we talk about, no matter what structure it is put out, it's not the incinerator mainly, but mainly put into the sea as the dumping place. Since UN says, as you have heard, the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework was put in Maldives for 22 and 26, and the government has already, with the UN team, are committed to work together with the people in the country in line with national development priorities and make sure that they achieve the 2030 agenda and is on the SDGs. Mostly the SDGs, the whole world, we have come to the agreement and we work towards it. So same reliance on important diesel for power generation, lack of economic of scale and poor quality of infrastructure have resulted in a very high cost of electricity in Maldives. The biggest bill I even get is my electricity bill. So for us, it has a target to reach net zero emission, which we need a lot of work to do by 2030. We're hoping that it could be done. And let's see how things goes. Another thing that I just want to highlight is that we are also working for achieving the 70 goals, but still the poverty rate is estimated to have risen from 19% in 22 due to the impact of pandemic. With the economic rebound is expected to drop, but still it did drop, but again we are on the rise. So when you think of the sustainability practices in Maldives, government with the commitment they have made and then putting the climate emergency bill in place is something good that we can talk about, so that people are supposed to be think climate, think of carbon emissions and all of it. However, the practice is really not happening as expected, as we see that 70% of our water and everything is wasted and contaminated. Fossil fuels still supply to 80% of the whole world energy. We suffer more on these things. In here, like when we think of the all small medium businesses, there's so much of impact made. Nothing is properly regulated well with the setting, because we always depend on the outer world, and such areas are of great stress. When I think of the sustainability, the most important part is the youth population. The youth are our future leaders. So I have, like, to save time, I will just show screens of the sustainability goals that have been achieved for the Maldives. Overall, like, country ranking is 67, and there we have achieved more. We are achieving most of the goals, and about even the no poverty and the good health and welfare compared Southeast Asia region. Maldives is at a good space. However, looking into all this and equality and what it is about the life below water has to be actually emphasized a lot. With the ocean, we have 99%, much is not done, although the fish that are caught and discarded are not discussed highly among the local population, and they're not really, they do not really understand the importance of why they don't need to keep to the linear way then and go to the circular way. And the sustainability tourism which has been adopted in Maldives within the supply chains, like there are other things like fish processing tourism, shipping, boat building, coconut processing. All these are of use for us all, and even sand mining need improvement to become sustainable. Still, a lot of people, they just go to sand mining, and all these impact the average person going. So we also are focusing on to go west with the new law in place. However, what we feel is the first step to sustainability is, in light of all these, is that the Maldives business have to take waste management to our hand and really think of a better way to do it. And when we look at what the resorts are doing, for example, the Four Seasons at Landagiravar has recently installed an LFC biodigester, and then they have been working and has been able to reduce more than 34 tons of the work. And they Ibrahim said that the environment sustainability data they are exposing, so says that they are making great progress within them. Another lesson is, if you go to it, when you look at it, you know that we are just 6 feet above the sea level. So yes.
Yeah, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you, but the time is over now for the
All
presentation.
right. So I will just go back to this, and I just want to share one simple thing. I have my own small school. We started to do sustainability. So in classroom, we teaching. We use 85% of aids made out of used cardboard, and instead of buying things, we make things just out of glue and name boards, everything. So this has made an impact to the island community, and we are going forward with it. And I think the best way is we need the problem is we don't have the real policies in place, and there's not much of evidence-based work not done on circular economy. So policies are more need to be there, and school practices and curriculum need to be then. So I will just show these. This is what is happening as it is waste collected, and these are the trashes within the Maldives. This is how it looks in the beautiful place. But however, this can be done, and this can be enjoyed if we become we change the sustainability towards the circular economy, and that's all. And I would say within that we have to make sure that segregation is mandatory for all for Maldives sustainability towards a circular economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hina, for the very informative presentation. And nice to see Maldives island is very beautiful. And I think that will be our last presenter for today. If I missed out anyone, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll continue on to question and answers and discussions.
Thank you, Susanna. And thank you everybody for making it, to, this far. It's about 11:20 p.m. here in the But anyway, just to capture by all the respected presenters, before I move to the discussion, I would just like to point out that all the presenters were very informative, and they engaged us to think more about um, uh, the main driver of the circular economy, which is innovation. Many of the topics that the presenters raised centered on working towards the circular economy with innovative approaches, and we can see that in their proposed design and their proposed activities, whether it's healthcare waste, composting, biomass. All the presenters came up with ways to minimize waste and to make the services more accessible. What we also learned today is that circular economy cannot be possible without a concerted team. It does not happen by an individual, but it must be a collaborative effort, so that everybody has a part. Whether the government needs to partner with the private sector, and the municipalities, and throughout our work, for example, in the FSM, we're always collaborating with the municipal governments, with the schools, with NGOs, and it's only possible, through those concerted efforts, that we see approaches, the kinds of approaches materialize. So I think that we can leave this this part of the session with the thought of moving towards a more concerted effort, so that we can all take part in the awareness and the participation of minimizing waste. And it's only made possible with collaborative efforts, because I think that once everybody is is aware, and engages, then everything is possible. But what I really want to point out, and that I saw in most of the presentations, is that innovation is one of the key drives of the circular economy, and I think that's where we're heading. And in order to harness, we need to harness more creativity in our work, so that it doesn't, so that it can only it can not just be fun, but it can be something that we do for ourselves and for everyone else. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia, ma'am. I would request if you could just turn your camera on. We would like to click a group picture of all the participants.
Where's it? Huh? There? Visible? Yeah, yeah. Good.